Hello, welcome to the Self-Learning Podcast by Dr. Sushma Singh. Let us start discussion on Chapter 3, Environment and Society. And our topic is why environmental problems are also social problems. How environmental problems affect different groups is a function of social inequality. Social status and power determine the extent to which people can insulate themselves from environmental crises or overcome it. In some cases, their solutions may actually worsen environmental disparities. In Kutch, Gujarat, where water is scarce, richer farmers have invested in deep borewell tube wells to tap groundwater to irrigate their fields and grow cash crops. When the rains fall, the eastern wells of the poorer villages run dry and they do not even have water to drink. At such times, the moist green fields of the rich farmers seem to mock them. Certain environmental concerns sometimes appear to be universal concerns, not particularly to specific social groups. For instance, reducing air pollution or protecting biodiversity seem to be in the public interest. A sociological analysis shows, however, that how public priorities are set and how they are pursued may not be universally beneficial. Securing the public interest may actually serve the interest of particular politically and economically powerful groups or hurt the interest of the poor and politically weak. As the debates over large dams and around protected areas show, the environment as a public interest is a hotly contested arena. The School of Social Ecology points out that the social relations, in particular the organization of property and production, shape environmental perceptions and practices. Different social groups stand in different relationship to the environment and approach it differently. A forest department geared to maximizing revenues from supplying large volumes of bamboo to the paper industry will view and use a forest very differently from an artisan who harvests bamboo to make baskets. Their varied interests and ideologies generate environmental conflict. In this sense, environmental crises have their roots in social inequality. Addressing environmental problems requires changing environment society relations, and this in turn requires efforts to change relations between different social groups. Men and women, urban and rural people, landlords and laborers. Changed social relations will give rise to different knowledge systems and modes of managing the environment. Two examples of environment society conflicts are given below. The first one is no rain but snow and water parks. Water starved Vidarbha has a growing number of water parks and amusement centers. Even when it is 47 degrees in rest of the region, it is cool here. A little away from us is a patch that clocks in a minus 13 degrees. This is India's first snow dome in burning Vidarbha, keeping its ice rink firm cost rupees 4,000 a day in electricity charges alone. Welcome to the Fun and Food Village Water and Amusement Park in Bazaregaon Gram Panchayat of Nagpur district. A portrait of Mahatma Gandhi greets visitors in the office of the huge complex, and you are assured daily disco, ice skating, ice sliding, and a well stocked bar with cocktail. The 40-acre park itself offers 18 kinds of water slides and games, also services for events ranging from conferences to kitty parties. The village of Bazargaon, population 3,000 itself, faces a huge water crisis, having to make many daily trips for water. Women walk up to 15 kilometers in a day to fetch it, says Sarpanch Yamnabai Utke. This whole village has just one sarkari well. Sometimes we have got water once in 4 or 5 days, sometimes once in 10 days. Bazaregaon falls in a region declared as scarcity hit in 2004. It had never faced that fate before. The village also had its share of 6 hour and worse power cuts till about May. These hit every aspect of daily life, including health and devastated children appearing for exams. The summer heat touching 47 degrees made things worse. All these iron laws of rural life do not apply within Fun and Food Village. This private oasis has more water than Bazaregaon can dream of, and never a moment's break in power supply. We pay on average, says Mr. Singh, general manager of the park, about rupees 400,000 a month in electricity bill. The park's monthly power bill alone almost equals the yearly revenue of Jamnabai's Gram Panchayat. Ironically, the village power crisis eased slightly because of the park. Both share the same substation. The park's peak period begins with May, and so things have been a little better since then. The park's contribution to Gram Panchayat's revenue is rupees 50,000 a year, about half what Fun and Food Village collects at the gate in a day from its 700 daily visitors. Barely a dozen of park's 100 workers are locals from Bazargaon. Water-starved Vidarbha has a growing number of such water parks and amusement centers. In Shigaon, Bildhana, a religious trust, runs a giant meditation center and entertainment park. Efforts to maintain a 30-acre artificial lake within it ran dry this summer, but not before untold amounts of water were wasted in the attempt. Here, the entry tickets are called donations. In Yamaval, a private company runs a public lake as a tourist joint. Amravati has 2 or more such spots, and there are others in and around Nagpur. This in a region where villages have sometimes got water once in 15 days and where an ongoing farm crisis has seen the largest number of farmers' suicides in Maharashtra. No major project for either drinking water or irrigation has been completed in Vidarbha in decades, says Nagpur based journalist Jaydeep Hardikar. He has covered the region for years. Shri Singh insists that the Fun and Food Village conserves water. We use sophisticated filter plants to reuse the same water. but evaporation levels are very high in this heat. And water is not just used for sports. All the parks use a massive amount of it for maintaining their gardens, on sanitation, and for their clientele. It is a huge waste of water and money, says Vinayak Gaikwad in Buldhana. He is a farmer and a Kisan Sabha leader in the district. That in the process, public resources are so often used to boost private profit, angers Mr. Gaikwad. They should instead be meeting people's basic water needs. Back in Bazar Gaon, Sarpanch Yamnabai Uke is not impressed either, not by the fun and food village nor by other industries that have taken a lot but given very little. What is there in all this for us? He wants to know. To get a standard government water project for her village, the panchayat has to bear 10% of its cost. That is around rupees 4.5 lakh. How can we afford rupees 4.5 lakh? What is our condition? So it is simply being handed over to a contractor. This could see the project built, but it will mean more cost in the long run and less control for a village of so many poor and landless people. In the park, Gandhi's portrait still smiles out of the office as we leave, seemingly at the snow dome across the parking lot. And owed fate for the man who said live simply that others might simply live. As a consequence of development like the water park described above, small farmers in areas of dryland agriculture now find life increasingly impossible. Over the last 6 years, reports indicate that the thousands of farmers in Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, and Maharashtra have killed themselves, often by drinking pesticide. What drives farmers, people who stoically deal with the uncertainties inherent in agriculture, to this extreme step? The investigation of journalist P. Sainath shows that farmers' recent distress is due to the fusion of environmental and economic factors. Agrarian conditions have become more volatile as farmers are exposed to the fluctuations of the world market and as government support for small farmers declines due to liberalization policies. Cotton farmers grow a high risk, high return crop. Cotton needs some irrigation. It is also very susceptible to pest infestation. Cotton growers thus need capital to invest in irrigation and pest control. Both of these inputs have become more expensive over the years. High levels of extraction have depletion water reserves, so farmers have to drill deeper, and pests have become resistant to many pesticides, requiring farmers to spray new pesticides more frequently. Farmers in need of credit to purchase these inputs end up approaching private money lenders and traders who charge them high rates of interest. If the crop fails, the farmer cannot repay the money. Not only one can they not feed their families, they cannot fulfill family obligations like arranging children's marriages. Faced with financial and social ruins, many farmers have nowhere to return. Suicide seems to be the only way out to them. Discussion: is water scarcity natural or human made? What social factors shape how water is allocated among different users? How do different patterns of water use affect different social groups? We should all discuss on these issues. Now let us wind up the session, and thank you very much for engaging yourself with the Self Learning podcast.